Good with you.
Chilling.
I doing.
Waiting for Matt
Chilling.
though to come on.
Yeah. Well, I just seen him out there. I was like, I didn't know he was talking. I'm like, who talking?
Yeah.
Just came in this.
All his mains are here.
You see this shit? Look at this shit.
I'm glad you're here. Yeah, I've got the imaginary
You see?
ball.
I'm like, oh man, come on, man.
And you can't touch other people's faces too.
I don't know. Gotta
I
wash our
think it
hands
has to
now.
do with the new.
We
Ben,
gotta
what's up,
wash our
brother?
hands down the horizon. We gotta wash our hands. Make
I
sure you
think it
wash your
has to
hands.
do with the new Oculus. I think they're starting to
Who
get
you?
things together.
Did the light turn off? Or I'm bugging. Oh, they did. Yep.
I mean, sit your ass down. The movie's about to
Man, I'm
start.
about to see what's going on. Hell yeah.
Who's doing the lights?
That's Rupert up there playing with the light switch.
Jay Vanity. Jay Vanity.
That's Rupert.
I blamed it on you who was messing with the lights. I said Jay Vanity. I know.
All right, all right, all right. We have a full building in the house. What is up, everybody? How y'all doing? Appreciate y'all coming out. Season 3 of Meta Talks, season finale is happening.
Go.
Did that work? I can't get too closer.
That works.
Appreciate y'all coming out to season 3, Meta Talks Live, season finale. Man, look at all the beautiful faces out there, even the avatar ones. How y'all doing, everyone? Hopefully my connection is straight. I'm actually not at home. I'm overseas visiting my wife, so I get to spend a little bit of time with her. So let's give my wife some confetti for being patient while I travel 8,000 miles to get on the Oculus. That's what we do here. We take this metaverse thing serious. Just give everybody a minute to come on in. All right, so man, thank y'all for being here. I'm a little overwhelmed because when I started this journey for Meta Talks, it actually started off as a frustration build, which a lot of my builds start off as frustration builds, and I had no idea what this thing would become. It was definitely not my intention for it to have the type of impact that it has in so many people's lives. A lot of you come here week after week and are my regulars to hear what these amazing creators have to say on this stage. So it is definitely appreciated. Um, and I'm really, really grateful for you all to spend the time that you could have been doing anything, anywhere, but to do it here with us tonight. So with that said, this is the final show of season 3. We are 33 shows into Meta Talks live. Go figure. I never would have imagined. Um, but this season, and again, I hate that I couldn't make the season longer or else it would never end. But this season, I really tried to dedicate um, this season to giving the flowers back to some of the creators who have been here doing it consistently day in and day out with little to no recognition at times. They're phenomenal builders, and the problem with being phenomenal at doing something is that it becomes a point where people take it for granted and they just expect phenomenal things all the time. And it's not always easy. It's not always easy to create at a really high level and be consistent with that creativity. But I didn't want to go another season without reaching back and touching those people and making sure a lot of the newer people who are coming into the space understand who those people are that help build this platform. And make no mistake about it, every single person that's in this room right now or on this app or video game or whatever you want to call it is here building the future of what communication is going to look like. Every single person. So don't take anything you do for granted. Also, don't take anything anyone else does for granted either. Even the people that we feel add toxicity in our lives, everybody is here for a reason and everybody is here for a purpose. And don't overlook that because it's a big deal. It's still super early, right? We're a year into this experiment, but we know where it can lead to. And for a lot of us, it's changed lives, and it's only just starting. So don't take that for granted. But Before I bring my guest up into the stage, before I introduce him, one of the things I really wanted to make purposeful is open collaborations between brands. Um, we have a lot of our own things going on, and that's awesome. But really, true growth is really how you work with other people who may not necessarily share your same lane. With that said, um, as much as this world means to me, we are actually going to be opening a portal and we're going to go to Golden Avenue and we're going to conduct the season finale on Golden Avenue. But don't leave yet. We're going to travel together. I do want to introduce the guests to the stage first. So, man, the very first world I saw from this creator in my early stages, and we're talking probably back January, was a restaurant called Bull. And I had no idea how he was able to manage that restaurant with the same 15 shapes that were in my palette, because my 15 shapes couldn't create what that restaurant did. Not only the aesthetic of the restaurant, but the overall feel of that place is, and it was and still is, absolutely amazing. So much so that my wife and I are separated, um, only through distance, not through anything else, as she's overseas teaching. But we spent our 21st anniversary in Bull Restaurant, which sounds absolutely crazy because I'm grown and I'm an adult and I spent my anniversary in a video game with my wife. But that was really the closest thing we had to being together, which was more than a phone call, more than a FaceTime, more than a Zoom chat. Spending that physical time in this virtual space. Um, but it's not only that. I mean, his string of creations have probably helped out every single person in this room. I know he's done a phenomenal project with Cheeks. I know he's done a phenomenal project with Jay Vanity, and I'm sure he's touched everybody in here. But he's a creator, but he's a father. But more than that, he's an awesome individual to consider a friend. And I'm truly, truly humbled to bring him to the stage to close out season 3. Before we travel, I'm going to introduce him. But coming out to the stage, Matt Lowe, come on out, brother. Confetti, confetti, confetti.
Oh
All
man.
right, I'll let you introduce yourself before we travel.
Yeah, no. I'm Matt Low 3D. I'm a designer, digital designer, creator in here. Man, I don't know what else to say. That was an awesome introduction, by the way, Rupert. And yeah, a quick shout out to Rupert for providing this platform for creators, because without that, I mean, we wouldn't be able to get our name out there. So, thank you, man, and thank you for the opportunity. And yeah, I'm happy to be here, guys. I hope you guys will be able to take something away from some of the stuff I have to share tonight. So.
Man, we're gonna learn some stuff today. I'm almost sure. I'm almost sure. So let's do this. I'm gonna open up a portal and we're all going to travel. First of all, before I do that, big shout out to Biggie and the Primitive Shapes team for allowing us to do this. Um, Sometimes it's not an easy undertaking to put these things together with multiple people, but I appreciate you for doing that and showing everybody what collaboration should be looking like in this space as we all venture forward into becoming rich and famous and immortalized in virtual history. So I'm going to open up a portal. I'm sorry, this is a little unorthodox and a little bit clunky, but we're here. All right, awesome. All right, so everybody, let's join up, head over to Golden Avenue.
Well, I'm not going.
So it's a little different, right? But I always say to creators, it is never ever about the world. It's always about the creator. So it doesn't matter where we are or what we're doing. It is about you and nothing else. So don't limit yourselves on your worlds. Don't think that your worlds will take you to that place. Um, it doesn't matter. You are the secret sauce to success in this space. It's not what you build. It's you as a person, as an individual, as a creator, as a decent human being. That's really what the key is to the metaverse. Um, we'll just give a minute for everybody to come in. Did our guest show up? Is Matt here? Because I can't hold the stage down for an hour. So we don't have chairs, so just everybody, I would hope, will be respectful to the guest on stage. We do have a podium in order to ask questions. So again, thank you, Biggie. And there is our guest of honor. So without further ado, I'm going to bring to the stage Matt Lowe to tell his story.
Hey, thanks.
Thank you, Matt.
Thanks. Did you guys crash like I did? You guys didn't, did you? It's funny that the guest crashes. Yeah, okay, let's get this show on the road. By the way, shout out to the venue for tonight, Golden Ave. What a beautiful site to have a talk at. So, yeah, this is awesome. My name's Matt Lowe, 3D, Matthew in real life. I'm a digital designer in real life, and a father of 3 kids. Yeah, I mean, I'll give you a little bit of a background about me. I'm a Canadian designer, so I live in Vancouver, BC, Canada. And yeah, my parents, they both came to Canada as immigrants. My mom came from El Salvador. My dad came all the way from Poland, and none of them knew a word of English. So their meeting together was basically all hand signals, not sign language, hand signals. So if one wanted a glass of water, they would do this, or if the other one wanted to know the time, they would do this to each other, and they kind of fell in love that way. So it's kind of a cool story about my parents and how I came to be. So I have a younger brother, and yeah, I mean, to get more into Horizon World, I mean, went through the whole schooling system. I grew up kind of low to middle class family. Yeah, and went through schooling, went through high school. At one point in time, my high school was ranked um, one of the worst in Canada in terms of violence, gang violence, and drugs and things like that. So I made it out of that, and then told myself, okay, well, if I can make it out of this, I can get into college and do something with that. So I got into design because I was really into design my whole life, ever since I was a kid. I got into 3D animation and design, and I went to the Art Institute of Vancouver. You guys have it in the States as well. I think you guys have the Art Institute of Pittsburgh and Boston and all that. So, yeah, I went to the Art Institute, got my first job out of college. It was with a technology company that did simulations for the Canadian and US military. So that was a really cool job to get straight out of school. The only problem was I could never talk about my work, and I could never show it. I'd have to show up to Christmas dinners, and like my whole family would be asking me, what do I do for a living? And I could never talk about it, and I could never show it. But it was cool because I got to fly around the world to like military bases and like wear this big red tag that said civilian, so that all the soldiers on the base knew that I was like welcome, but like also not welcome. Uh, so, and things would get crazy. I would be on top of aircraft jets, like fighter jets, taking photography of the jets to take back to the office to recreate it in 3D. So it was really cool work. Just could never talk about it. And then after that, I got into television. I got into broadcast and advertising. and into the marketing side of things, where I could finally talk about my work and show it. And yeah, and then I did that. I've been doing design for 14 years professionally. And then I found Horizon Worlds, which is like my home now. And I've met all you guys, so many faces out in the crowd I see right now, where it's just like, man, I I got into here from a professional standpoint to learn about the future of the industry. And like I knew, okay, I'm gonna need to know how to build and create in VR and AR. So I need to learn what's going on in here. So that's the whole reason I got into this in the first place. And I mentioned this in a previous interview, which was I didn't expect the social aspect that I was gonna get, and all the friends I would meet and all the people I would network with, and that was such a cool part of it. And that's why I'm still in here, because man, like when people talk about the future and saying like this is the future, you only really get to see it if you experience it. And so like I tell all my friends and family, like if you're watching videos on Instagram of what's going on in here, it doesn't do it justice like one bit, because it's gonna be like, yeah, this is only gonna get better. So yeah, and then so I became a Horizon Worlds creator. I started building stuff, and like Rupert mentioned, my first world was absolute junk. You can go see it. It's the Crypto Mansion. It's like, it's so bad. But I kept it because I wanted that as reference as to how far I would come if I decided to stay in here. And then yeah, my second world was kind of what, I guess everybody has that world that claim to fame kind of world, was the Bull restaurant. And I didn't know this at the time, but I think it was Black Harley that mentioned it. She's like, you do realize you're one of the first creators to create like a pretty legitimate restaurant in here, right? And I was like, nah, I didn't realize that. And she's like, yep, your restaurant's the first. And since then, it's been like a dating spot for people, like for dating. And like one guy came up to me and he said, you don't want to know how many meta baddies I've brought into your restaurant, man. I'm trying to get myself a girl, and I've brought in so many girls into your spot, man. So I thought that was funny, and crazy, because when I created Bull, it was just for the fun of it and just to see how far I could take realism in here. So yeah, and then so after that, I realized, okay, I need to take this more seriously. So I sold my graphic design business, and it was a freelance business, so I didn't sell it for a whole lot. It's only so much you can sell when it's a freelance business. So I sold my clients and my plugins that I made, and I said I'm gonna focus more on what's in here, and so I started the Veo Technologies, and I brought on board some of the greatest people, like not even creators, just people in general, onto the team. Jay Vanity, Flex Tie, Cheeks, Daydream Davy, Brooke, and when I approached them to create this team, I knew I didn't want to do this alone. So when I approached them, I said, guys, just so you know, if you want to be part of the team, the way it's going to work is it's going to go down like this. I don't want you to be handcuffed to what's happening at the Veo. I want you to help grow it and all that and help me out. But whatever it is you were planning to do before you met me, do that. And you see it. You see Jay Vanity taking off with her fashion brand Vanguard, and Cheeks with Metasource Promotions, and they're all killing it in the space. And not only that, they're still part of the DeVeo team. And I think that's a great example of like how you can run your own thing and still support other people's dreams. And this is another great example. This collaboration between Rupert and Golden Ave and all that is just, that's what it should be about. Just supporting one another in here, because it's too early to be like stifled by competing with one another and all that. Um, so yeah, just positive energies, positive vibes. It always ends up panning out to more opportunity. And so that's how I've carried, even like that's how I carry DeVeo. That's how I run DeVeo. But that's how I run myself as well. That's how I carry myself. Is just like someone comes up to me, and I'm never the type of person that's too good to help someone out. And I've had it before where people can misconstrue without getting to know you. They can misinterpret the way you are just because maybe of how big you've become. And I didn't realize this until one person once came up to me and said, you think you're the shit, don't you? And I kind of joked back and I said, dude, my own wife and kids don't think I'm the shit. I don't. You're totally off by that. So whatever it is you think about me, get to know me first, and then we can, what is it you need? You want help, or you want me to do this? So, um, yeah, and so I think that's just an important thing we should keep going in here. Especially, like I said, I'm looking out into the crowd. There's a lot of people in here that share that same value, which is just let's help one another get to where we want to go, because it's more fun that way too. And one thing I was talking about with Rupert before I got onto the show was me and him are very much at a similar place in our life where we just want to kind of give back. I've done the whole grind. I'm still doing it, but I've done the whole grind thing, the early teens, college grinding, and like I'm a father now. I have 3 kids: a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old. And I'm at a point in my life where I've done the schooling, the business side, I got my career in place, and now it's more of a question of how can I add value to other people's lives and the things that they want to do, and then in turn, it's going to help. It's going to make me feel good, which who doesn't want to feel good, right? So if I can help people out, that's the lane I'm always going to take. So yeah, and I thought about when Rupert said, "Oh, you're going to be on the finale night of my show." I was like, "Okay, I need to bring the heat. I need to bring, I need to bring my A game." So, and he said that people get a little bit personal in these shows and add some value to other people's lives. So, I'll share this with you guys. A lot, a lot of people don't know this about me, but I'm actually a cancer survivor. And uh, and the reason I share this story is because I don't know if anyone has ever been through this, but like when you get diagnosed with something as serious as cancer, your kind of life just flashes before you, and it can be a very terrifying moment, especially at the age it happened to me. It was in like maybe like just 30, around 31, 32. I was diagnosed with lymph node cancer, lymphoma. But it was out of nowhere too. It was I was just in the kitchen one day and I was leaning over the counter and my wife said, you don't look good." And I was like, it's nothing. All the guys in the crowd can relate to this. You walk it off, right? You walk off whatever it is. It must be back pain or whatever it is. But I was leaned over the sink or whatever, and my wife. Shout out to my wife. She said, "No, you should go get checked out because I've never seen you like just stop in the kitchen like that." And I said, "Okay, well I'll go get it checked out, but I'm sure it's nothing." And I hadn't been to a doctor in like 10 years at that point. That's how rarely I went to the doctor. And so I went, and I'm like, "Yeah, I got some pain on my side here, my abdomen and my back." And he looked a bit, and like without even doing an X-ray yet, he said, "The way you're describing the pain and just from looking at you, this looks. I don't want to scare you, but this looks like it might be cancer." And I was like, "That's pretty ballsy of him to just diagnose me like that without nothing." So I actually found it kind of funny. And then I went home, and then I went to the X-ray. I go back to the doctor, and he's like, "Yep. So, dude, you have cancer, and we don't know how serious it is yet, but we're gonna have to get you into emergency surgery." And yeah, when you walk out of a meeting like that, I mean, I could have easily been hit by a car on the parking lot of that doctor's office because my whole like world was spinning, literally. Like like it was almost like I had drank alcohol, but I hadn't, because you get hit with that kind of news. You think your life is fine one minute, and then you're in your early 30s. You got a young son, and you got another kid on the way, and yeah, just man, damn. You're like, wow, that's life, eh? It could just like that, like it could happen. So anyways, they moved me up on the surgery list because a lot of people in my province were needing surgeries for like a broken leg and stuff. They actually moved me all the way past them. That's how serious it was. And then they did the surgery, and they're like, "Okay, so we've done it, but you're not out of the woods yet. We need to diagnose what's happened to you." And so I had to go for another meeting, and that was the most terrifying part about all of it that was happening, because all of that, what I just mentioned, happened in a flash. It was after the surgery when they said, "You actually might not be out of the woods yet, and this nightmare might not be over yet." That was the most terrifying part. to know that this could be even worse. Like I could get the news like you only have a few more months left or whatnot. So, and they said that was a possibility. So, yeah, I remember going to that meeting and just, I don't care who you are, you could be the toughest guy in the world. You're terrified at the kind of news that you might get. And I was like, come on, like not, don't give me this news because I just had a kid and I have a daughter on the way. So come on, like my kids don't deserve that. But then also, I don't know. I think a minute before I went into that room, I think I made peace with it, and I was like, this is how life operates, anyways, right? Like, your life could be taken in a car accident or whatnot. So if this is my story and this is how it ends, I guess that's it. So I came to grips with it, and I expected the worst news, and then I went into the room with my wife, and the doctor pulled out the folder, and she said, I've got good news for you, Matthew. It looks like we got rid of all of it through the surgery. And I was so happy, man. Oh, man. And they said, yeah, so, but, you know, it could come back. So all we have to do is just check you out for the next 5 years, 6 years. And you're going to have to do a bunch of scans and blood work, but it's still better than, having to go through chemo and all that. And yeah, and I was like, wow. And now you get that close to what you think is death. Maybe I would have been fine. Maybe I was fine, but you get that close to what you think is the end. You go through life much differently. So, and like with even my interactions with people now, there's not a mean part of, like, there's no mean soul in me like left, because I know, like, I could check out again in a few months from now, just get diagnosed with some kind of other bad news, right? Or, whatever it is, a car accident, whatever. So I like to say that we're all different, right? Like, Harls might be into like football, she might be into baking. We might all have different political views, and and whatnot, and so we differ in that way. But the one thing we all have in common, doesn't matter your religious viewpoints or whatever, and we all have to meet that end, and to know that everyone in this room, like, we all have to meet that end at some point. You start to realize, like, the only thing you want to do is be nice to one another before you check out. Like, that's it. It's like life is so short, and like, I don't know. I don't want to be on my deathbed knowing I was mean to people or made people feel like they can't do something, or they couldn't accomplish their dreams, and it was because of words I said to them. That's not something I'm interested in. And maybe I was a bit different before all this, but yeah, it's just, it makes you realize that life is short, and just be kind to one another. And MetaClean, Rupert represents that really well. Just like, inspire people, be kind to people. If someone's rubbing you the wrong way, just don't be mean to that person. Just, take off somewhere else and just go away from them, and also another thing is, like, if that person is being mean or rude or telling you can't do something, now I look at them completely different than I used to. Like, I used to maybe get down to their level and maybe go back and forth, and I don't have time for that anymore. And not only that, I actually look at them in a sympathetic way, which is like, that person's hurting, to be saying these things to me or whatnot. So yeah, that's it, man. That's all I want to say. Yeah. You're on mute, by the way.
Maybe logistics of how this thing worked. Does anybody have any questions for Matt? Design, personal? I'm sure he'll answer both openly and honestly. Right.
You're, like,
Matt, how you
cutting out.
doing? MetaClean, pleased to meet you.
All right.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yeah.
All right. So, as you begin to create, what is your process? Do you have a vision in mind before you get going, or do you just get on the grid and go for it, and whatever happens, happens?
Yeah, good question. A little bit of both. It depends on the project. So if there's something I really have my mind set on, I probably will draft it out. It's like something I really want to create, I'll draft it out a bit and I'll plan it. But there's other times where I just love throwing stuff against the wall and seeing if it sticks. Yeah, I'm a fan of both, to be honest. Yeah.
Or I'm gonna ask it. This so, and I'll ask you this because as I've watched you create, you haven't really been stuck to one particular thing, right? So you have the real estate, you have the accessories, and you also have one of my personal favorites, EV3. I love that build. So what is your favorite thing to create? Like, what brings you the most joy to build?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I love challenging myself. So I don't want to get stuck to one idea or style or, because like when I did the restaurant, I was like, I need to move on from that, do something else. So then I did the car. And the car was done at a perfect point, which was everybody was into cars at that point. So I hit the pinnacle of like car creation in here, which is, I was like, okay, cool. I'll just create a car, and I'm gonna brand it, my own brand, see what's possible, and I'm gonna make it kind of outlandish because it's the metaverse. So I had the food coming up and the drinks and so, and then my wife said, why don't you try selling? Because if you're putting a lot of hours into it, maybe we'll try to sell it. People might want it. And so I decided to put it for sale. Yeah, and I made a few sales. I was happy. I made back the money that the hours I put into it and then some. So I was like, okay, cool. I guess I'm getting into asset creation now because that's there's a market for that. Yeah, and this was all after all the dev shade stuff where I gave the dev shades away for free, and that was another success story. By the way, guys, like create some. All you need is one good project and it just blows up. Like the dev shades, I think I said this before, I gave it away as a gift to like my closest creator friends, and then it kind of grew from there. So it started with nothing but the intention of like, I just want to give a cool gift to my cool friends that they could put in their cool worlds. And yeah, and then so now and then my wife said, yeah, can you start making money off this? I was like, okay, I'll come out with the dev shade season 2. And that one's for sale, so no more freebies at this point. Yeah.
Hey, Matt.
Hey.
I have a quick question. So, were you in the metaverse with your diagnosis, or was this pre-metaverse?
Yeah, this was like 4 years ago. So, but I've
Yeah.
been dealing with it all the way up until this point. So
Yeah.
even still, I think I have an appointment this coming month or so for a CT scan because I'm still considered not out of the woods yet. But my doctor jokes with me. She's like, "You're almost graduated, Matt, and you're almost at the graduation ceremony," which is basically, I guess, if you're 5 or 6 years after your diagnosis, they consider you completely clean free. You're out of the woods, and like if anything that happens after that is basically a new thing. So yeah, I'm just waiting for that last appointment where they're like, "Yep, you don't have to come see us anymore." And yeah, there'll be champagne flowing and stuff when that happens. So you'll hear about
Do you
it.
plan on having like a meta party? That would be really cool.
That might be cool. Yeah, hey, I see Harl's ready to
Look at Harl's.
prepare the party. Yeah. Yeah, I because Rupert was so kind to invite me to the finale of a show. Like, I don't get this personal ever. Uh, but I said I might do it tonight because a lot of you know me by now too, and I hate sharing that story only because when I first started sharing it, it can actually change the way people treat you. Because they're like, oh, I need to be nice to him because he had this or whatever, and that's not cool. Like it's like you should be who you are. You should always be kind. not just be kind because now I have this new information about this guy, right? So that's why I always keep it hidden, because I keep that story to myself because I'm like, I want to actually see how a person would interact with me as if they didn't know anything, and then they usually reveal themselves to you if they're they're kind or if they're not kind. But sometimes if you share a story like that, it's like, oh, okay, I need to be kind to that person, and so that's why I've been, for the longest time, this is the first time anyone's hearing the story. I've held that story away because, yeah, it, some people say a diagnosis like that probably makes you a really nice person, and I don't agree with that. It made me a strong person. It made me someone way stronger than I used to be, and so I love the saying where it's like you'll talk to two people. One person might tell you, Matt's the nicest guy in the world, and another guy might come to you and say, "Oh, Matt, that asshole guy," and they're both probably right because you act accordingly, right? And so if someone's not treating you nice, you have no obligation to be nice to someone that's not treating you nice, and just walk away from that person. But yeah. Yeah, cancer didn't make me nicer. It just made me stronger. So I got less time for bullshit. I got more time for family. I got more time for positive vibes. I got more time for making good friends and that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Any other questions for Matt? Come up to the podium and ask. Hey, I know you. Stop fronting like you quiet. Come here and ask.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know I was gonna be put on the spot. Hi, Matt.
Jay. Jay.
So, for many of people who don't know you and people who just getting to know you, how do you describe DeVeo and what made you decide to put it into the metaverse, especially this one, despite what it is also on the outside?
Yeah. When I started the Veo, I knew that whatever I was gonna do in here, I didn't want to do it alone, because you can only go so far alone with anything. And I learned that through my freelance design business. There's a cap. There's only so much you can do. But this metaverse stuff, I knew it was gonna be a big thing, and I was gonna need a team. And that team doesn't have to be well established either. It just needs to be people that I connect with, that I work with well, and are good people. And if I can get them in place and they have the intention of also making and doing great things in this space, that's who I'm going to want around me anyways. And I've told the members of the Veo, if it ever happens where the Veo kicks off and a huge infusion of money comes into it and investors get interested in things like that, those are the same people I'm going to bring on board, because why would I look elsewhere? Those are the same people I've worked with the whole time I was in here. Those are the same people that helped me get to where I'm at. And so once that happens, like, they're the first people I'm going to bring on board. I've made it known several times that that's what's going to happen. And next year there's a big plan in place. I got the deck ready to go. We've already had our accomplishments, and the different partnerships I have with Guard Mag and Metasource Promotions. There's an impressive portfolio there of work where we can now go to companies next year and go find work or go find investors and say, look, here we are. This is what we can do. You want to bring your brand into the metaverse? We can do it for you. We got everything. Junia is a part of the DAO team too, although and he has his own stuff going on as well. But that's the entertainment side. Then we got Jay with her fashion and Flex Tie. They know the fashion stuff in here really well. And so if we work with a fashion brand, we have that expertise already in the DeVeo team. So yeah, I'm excited for next year. It's gonna be really good. And yeah, like I said, anyone that wants to be a part of it, let me know, because the team will always be growing, and I'm always looking for connections. So yeah, Harls, I see you, man.
All right. Any other questions? Throw some flowers out for Matt.
how'd you come up with the name for DeVeo?
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. And you know, DeVeo perplexes a lot of people. They're like, is it Devio, Devio, DeVeo? Like that's the number one question, which is fine. But I knew I wanted it a singular name. I didn't want it to be like, you know, something that was long and drawn out, like Metaverse Design Company or whatever. I wanted it to be one word, and I was like, okay, I want it to kind of be like Adidas, where it's just like one word. Even Adidas is not really, you know, I mean, I think it's, I don't know if anyone can correct me on this, but is it all day I dream about sports or something like that? I've heard that expression. So I was like, I'm going to do something similar. And DeVeo. So DeVeo is DEV for develop. Everybody knows the dev world. If you're a developer, develop. EIO, exciting ideas only. So that's what it's going to stand for. Develop exciting ideas only. And that's
hard.
what the metaphor. Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah. So, so I'm hoping DeVeo can be the Adidas of the metaverse, which would be awesome. Yeah. um, yeah, and you know what? I'll just add because Rupert, I was thinking one more thing. If I were to add any value tonight to people, is I don't know about if you guys know this about me, but I'm extremely introverted, like the extreme case of an introvert. And I use the word extreme because I'll give you an example. At my high school graduation, um, I had an English teacher, and he was giving out awards at the party. It was just for fun. Like, oh, the most athletic graduate of our year is this guy, and the best person at math is this person. And then he got to the very last award of the night. These are just joke awards, but he got to the last award of the night, and he said, "The last award tonight goes to the loudest person in our graduation class. Matthew, come on up and get your trophy, whatever." And so the whole room went quiet, and there was even like slow clapping. Like everyone was confused, like, what, Matt is the loudest person? So I went up to the stage. Even I was confused because I wasn't in the know. And the second I was about to grab the award from my English teacher, he stopped me and he's like, wait, hold on a minute, sorry, it's not the loudest person award, this is the Silence of the Lambs award. And then the whole class erupted in cheering and stuff, and then everyone's like, ah, yeah, that makes more sense. That's how introverted and quiet I was. It's like it was well known that I was the total introvert. And as you can see now, I'm talking on a stage to people, and not only that, I can probably do this in real life too. And that's because of this Horizon thing. I don't know if you guys experienced the same thing, but my social skills have gone way up, and I can talk comfortably in a room now. And then I was wondering, does this translate to the real life? And it totally does, because I had to attend some thing not too recently, and I was like, I wonder if I'll be the old introverted self, and I wasn't. So that's another great thing about this platform, man. It's just, yeah. And so to all the introverts out there, and extroverts too, put yourself out there, and talk about your stuff more. There's nothing wrong with that, because the people who love you and support you, they're gonna love seeing that. They're gonna really like seeing that. And I've heard the the expression that, like, oh, you might be viewed poorly if you like put yourself out too much. Maybe you're bragging or whatnot. That's not the case. People who don't like you maybe say, oh, you're bragging, but those people don't matter. Don't worry about them. Worry about the people that support you, because they're gonna be like, yeah, dude, talk about, like Harl said it to me too, talk your shit. Like, talk your shit, man. People want to hear that. And yeah, just put yourself out there, because yeah, my wife, she has a marketing degree, and so even she said it's very important that you, even though it might feel uncomfortable, to put yourself out there and talk about yourself and your work, because nobody's going to do it for you, unless you're lucky enough to have someone do it for you, but otherwise you don't have someone to do it for you. So yeah, to all the introverts out there, get out there, push your work out, talk about your work. You won't be viewed poorly. It's almost a necessity if you want to get further with this stuff. So
one thing I want to bring up, and thank you for that you haven't mentioned, which I'm going to sign up for, but you're going to be doing something to help creators in this space, right? What you got going on?
Yeah. Okay. So, I held this off for your show as well, man. I'm a designer, right? In real life, I have 14 years design experience, and the way, you know, MetaClean is great at inspiring people, bringing community together. I'm not gonna take, that's not my lane. I'm not good at community building, but the way I can give back to community is through my design experience and all that. And people say like, oh, your worlds are so awesome to look at. I wish I could get that same level of quality into my worlds. And it's like, yeah, okay, cool. And then I thought about it and I figured out that's how I can give back is through my design experience. And, how can I share that knowledge with other people? So I'm going to open up a design school. It's going to be in the metaverse. It's going to be cool. It's going to be a cool facility. There's going to be free classes, but maybe there'll even be paid courses. And yeah, it's gonna be incredible. I'm gonna run the whole thing, and yeah, and that's gonna be my lane. I'm not a scripter. I'm not a community builder, but I love design and I have a lot to contribute in that area. So that's the way I'm gonna give back, man.
I don't know about y'all, but who's going to sign up for that? I'm raising my hand because, yes, I would love to learn how to be a better designer, not just a creative, because, there are aesthetics to everyone. Um, I mean, I appreciate Golden being in the building because we're standing in his world, right? So we talk about design and what
Shout out Golden.
formal training can do for you, right? These are some of the examples of an established career of doing something you love, breeding results. So absolutely can't wait for that to happen. Sign me up.
Thank you, man.
Any other questions for Matt? Was his way?
I would like to say I'm signing up for fall quarter. Thank you.
Was that Vanity the only Vanity up in the metaverse? Only up to
The only Upton in the metaverse saw.
So Golden.
I would say that I'm signing up also. Big
Golden.
Big fan. Appreciate you, just sharing those things. I missed a lot of it because I couldn't get in. This was packed out, so I kept going into another instance, but I missed a lot. But appreciate you sharing your story, and it means a lot to creators and myself. So I'm inspired by any creator in here doing their thing, and so I just want to give you that shout out. Big fan. So you might see me sign up to be a part of because there's I love to learn. There's always something you can learn from somebody else. It doesn't matter who it is. You can always pick up something. So yeah, I appreciate you. You keep doing what you're doing, man.
Oh man, Golden, thank you, dude. And the feelings are so mutual. You have no idea, man. I see your stuff. I mean, everybody I think in this room can relate. We see your stuff, dude. I mean, I could probably create my school and like you could run it. That's how good you are, man. So those words coming from you means a lot, man. Thank you, dude. I appreciate that.
So we were on Speak Your Truth, and you said something about an SUV. You said.
Oh yeah. Oh, SUV's coming. I totally kept it in mind. Yeah, it's coming, man. Yeah. And one thing I'm gonna offer with the SUV, I think, is like it'll be gutted. So like how most cars have interiors. This one I might gut so that you can have just a good looking SUV you can put outside your club. Maybe get a line of them. So it looks like the squad's pulling up to the club kind of thing. I haven't figured that part out, but that stuff's coming too. So, yeah, yeah, a lot of exciting things coming for the new year. I'm kind of trying to slow down a little bit, and especially DeVeo. We recently brought in a company called Soul Play into the metaverse. They're a clothing company in Atlanta, and yeah, they were interested in the metaverse and they had a lot of questions for me. They're like, Matt, we want to get a representation of our store in the metaverse. How can we do that? Can we use you? I said, yeah, and I have a team. I have like people that are good at things. Like I have someone that's like in fashion, and I have someone that does events, so we can do a grand opening. So by the way, they're aware of you, Jay. And so yeah, that was a successful night. We had a grand opening, and that was a great example of. I mean, you've already seen a few, but like companies making their way into the metaverse. And I've said this to a million people too. It's like when I'm trying to explain it to people who just don't get it, and you probably all have those people in your lives, maybe family or friends, where you're trying to explain and they don't see it. Like, oh, you play a video game. It's like, no, you have, like, say for a company, you have your website, you have their social media channels, Instagram, Facebook. Now there's this, which is like an interactive space that your company can interact with its clients and its customers. And so companies are going to want this. And right now it's early, but watch, everybody's going to want a theme park that their customers can go to. You know, I even, pitched this to another person I work with in real life. And it was a water park. They only open during the summertime. And I was like, why don't we create a metaverse world for them, like a water slide park, where it's like once the season is over, like if they have a headset, they can experience that same water park. We can build the scale, everything. And that's just another thing to keep your customers engaged during the off seasons. So it's things like that where it's like the people in this room probably get it. They probably see it. Like, yes, all that is going to happen, and it's the people outside that need some convincing. But it's happening. I mean, the new headsets coming out and all that, and possibly Apple getting into the game. I mean, if Apple gets into the game, I think it's a done deal. Because like, how many Apple loyalists are out there, right? If they do a headset, they're gonna be like, oh my god, this is cool. I guess this is a cool thing. So, yeah. By the way, my wife is one of those people that I have a hard time getting into here. So, I'm still working on that. I got to take her to the Bull at a restaurant and wine and diner, I think. I don't know.
That's hilarious because my wife also has a hard time getting in here. Any other?
You're out of the speaking box. There you go.
Sorry. So I am going to say, so what is next for Matlow 3D?
Oh man. I mean, you know what? It's probably like a lot of you in here, just projects ongoing. I have a restaurant coming out with Flex Tie that I'm excited about. I got something coming out with Coda. You guys know Coda. But that one's tight-lipped, under wraps. But if it's Coda, it's something that's gonna be a lot of fun. What else? Oh, lots of plans with Leo the Architect. We did the mansion, but we got a great offer coming up soon. So guys, watch out for that, because that's gonna be like, oh my God, they're doing that. That's the reaction we're anticipating. So, yeah, and then just a lot of plans for the New Year's. And yeah, and again, like I apologize in advance for people who aren't able to world hop with me. Trixie, I know you love world hopping. So, but I'm just I'm a busy man, and not by choice, like just by default. Father of three, and then I run the business and stuff like that. I'm constantly just like every minute, every hour is booked. But with that said, I'll always try to make time for you. I promise you that. Okay, so like message me if you have a project idea in mind or anything, or you just want to talk, or like, Matt, we haven't hung out in a while. Get the hell on and let's talk, because I need someone to talk to. Like, just message me, because I'll make the time. Yeah. So real.
Man, so thank you for that, Matt. But I really want to reiterate on a point. That's something that you understand about this space. I mentioned before, it's not necessarily about so much what we create as it is about the person that does the creating, right? The creator is the world all the time, 100% of the time, no matter what. but the fact that you understand that it really is about the relationship with people means that there is longevity in your career. Because even after the creativity may potentially stop, or whatever the case may be, we're still going to be people who are put ourselves into these situations where we have the ability to have relationships with other people. And I don't care what anybody tells me, even with all the shitty stuff that even I have to go through sometimes, right? And I don't go through the space harmfully, but I still am on the tail end of some of that. Um, it always inspires me to keep moving forward by the people that are still in here doing amazing things. No matter how frustrated I may get or put myself in build mode to avoid certain things, or just to use it as a point of meditation, man, the people in here make it all worthwhile. And you are absolutely one of those people that everybody should get to know and learn from, not just from a design standpoint, but as a person who's experienced some stuff in his life, who's now at the point now, who has so much to give back. Um, that's these are the kind of individuals, seriously, that we should be around like more often. Um, we're never ever going to avoid the toxicity in people. I mean, it's just going to go with the flow. And even with that said, there's still a lot to be learned from those type of people. If even that lesson is not to be around them or how to point them out so you can avoid them, everybody has a lesson to give. But man, I tell you, when you meet somebody who's not only a phenomenal creator but a decent human being, it makes everything that happens in this space worthwhile. And we appreciate you for that, man. We really do. Thank you very much.
Thank you, man. Thank you, dude. Thank you for having me, man.
Any closing words? Any other questions for Matt before we roll out?
What's your favorite thing you've made in here? Whether it's a world or just an ad, or like, you know what I mean?
My favorite thing, oh man, it's a tie. It's a tie between the Eve vehicle, just because that kicked off, and like I didn't expect like it to be featured in your music video and all that. So,
Oh, you crazy?
yeah,
Are you crazy?
yeah. Hey, and by the way, that helps me with the coolness meter with my kids. It's like Daddy's vehicle isn't a rap video. So I'm telling you, telling you, son, I'm cool. I'm a cool dad. Yeah, that's a tie between that and the flamethrower, because the flamethrower was kind of my first one of my first, or maybe my second stab at scripting and creating. And so when I got it to work, and I was all by myself in build mode, I was like, I'm gonna see if this works. And then I pressed the button, and then it worked. It was just like euphoria. It was like, oh my god, yes, all right. So yeah,
let's go.
Do I have to press something?
No, you're global, Leo. You can just talk.
I'm good.
Leo.
All right, my man. Fine. I'm so happy I made it in here. I was also kind of stuck out in multiple instances. I think that just speaks to how much people love you in here, man. Yeah, man. I just wanted to say I'm inspired by you, bro. You're an awesome person, as Rupert was just saying. You're a great creator. A lot of people don't know this, but Matt and I we connected on a bunch of different levels, but especially on being like the dads in here, trying to figure out like how to make time or like sense of the time we spend in here. And I often talk to my wife, and I'm like, damn, I got to get back in the metaverse and create. Look at all these great people doing great stuff, and I want to get in there. And I just wanted to say I'm inspired by you. I'm inspired to come in this space and actually create because of people like you, right? I think you're talented, and I think one of the things that most people, I think a lot of people here know, a lot of these people know you. I just find it like so ironic that literally the best creators in here are some of the most humble people in here. And you would think it's like the opposite. You would think the badasses would be kind of the jerks, and that's not true at all. So yeah, man, I know you. There are a couple other great creators here. Obviously, we're in a great creators world here. So yeah, man, just keep pushing on. I got a chance to listen to a live feed tonight, and just I was so encouraged by your courage, bro, to share your story. And yeah, man, just keep going on. And if there's anything, I just want to say, love you, bro, and I hope we can continue to support you and Taveo, and I hope all the stuff we're doing together in the future keeps going out. So congrats, brother.
Thank you, man, dude. Thank you. And yeah, I'm just gonna share what a point that Leo made that's very important, I think, for all of us to keep in mind, is that Daydream Davy was one of the first people I met in here. Awesome creator too, and just a good guy and quiet like me. He's like, he's a quieter guy, but a nice dude. And he admitted to me, he's like, Matt, when I first met you, I thought you were gonna be like this guy who was just full of himself because the Bull restaurant looks so cool that this guy's got to be a dick. And then he's like, and then I met you, and then you're like, you're not that, you're totally not that. And I was like, yeah, dude, like, of course not, man. But I think, that's how quick we all make that human mistake of like maybe jumping to conclusions about someone just because of certain things they see or just the limited things that you've seen about them or heard about them. And I try to tell this to everyone I meet or I haven't met yet is take some time to get to know me, or whoever it is, you won't get to know them before you jump to those conclusions, because it might seem a certain way. They might seem a certain way from the outside, and then it's completely different once you talk to them. And it's the same thing. Like, I don't know if you guys see my reels. I got the sunglasses on and I got the smoke in my hand, and it's all a marketing thing. I was just like, I'm gonna make this my shtick. I'm just gonna, every reel I do, I'm gonna put the glasses on and the cigarette on. And I know there's some people that are gonna be like, oh man, this guy is really full of himself. But I'm not doing it for that reason. I'm doing it to create a persona. And then if you get to know me in real person, you'll realize he's not even like that at all. Like, he's not the guy that's wearing his shades and thinks he's too cool for school. He's the guy that's just, he's just doing his thing. He's just doing his marketing bit. And then behind the cameras and hanging out in person, he's a cool dude. So yeah, I have to remind myself to do that as well with people. Just give people a chance always. Like, yeah.
I do want to share one thing. I met Matt probably a couple months ago, and sharing off of like what Leo said, Matt pushed me to do a lot of things that I was really scared to do. I didn't know Matt, and like you said, the perception's reality, that's a real thing. And it's hard to work through perception with people, but you sat with me for a good hour, just me and you, and I kind of was throwing to you all the things I wanted to do here. And I just want to, kind of go off Leo and say thank you for giving me that uplift and saying that this is what we need here, and pushing the envelope is really the thing that's going to get us noticed, because if people ain't talking, you ain't doing it right. So I learned that really quick from you in an hour-long conversation, just me and you in the podcast. So I wanted to share that with people, that Matt took his time out. I know he's super busy, and it meant the world to me. So I wanted to share that. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, D. Yeah, that's awesome.
All right. Any other questions for Matt? All right. Well, Matt, I would say it is an absolute perfect way to end the season. Again, what you have to offer the community, man, is so valuable and so important. I just couldn't have asked for a better final guest for season 3. So, with that said, do you have any closing words?
Yeah, nope. Just what Rupert's putting out there. It's the same thing I would say. Just be positive, or be kind to one another. Be kind. Spread it, because kindness can also be construed sometimes as weakness. Someone thinking, you being too kind is going to be like you're that's a weak person. It's actually the opposite. It's like the extreme opposite. Like, if someone's being kind to you, that we all get beat down in life, right? It doesn't matter who you are. You're getting beat down by something, whether it's a parent talking down to you or a friend that's telling you can't do something. And if someone can still be nice to you at the end of the day after being beat down like that, when it's so easy to just be unkind to someone back and play that game, that's a very strong person. So yeah, just be kind to one another. Try to be strong and be kind to one another. That's it.
Awesome. Well, on that note, brother, thank you so much. Can we get some confetti for Matt Lowe? I mean, freaking awesome. So this is it, man. Season 3 is a wrap. This is show 34 in the books. Definitely just want to shout out a few people. Dirt Dig, man, I really appreciate you with the script and assist for the Meta Talks building. The chairs are phenomenal. Want to thank the Primitive Shapes team for allowing us to bless Golden Avenue. This is the first time I've ever taken Meta Talks live on the road, and it's important because this is my baby. Like, I don't play around with this. This is the one thing in the metaverse I take really seriously because of the impact that it has on people. But I appreciate Primitive Shapes being receptive to the idea and just kind of showing people what collaborations on a grander scale can look like. Because again, we are all amazing creators in our own right, and none of us should have to go through this thing alone. We are so much more powerful together um, as a community. Um, it's just really important to be nice to each other. But with that said, man, you guys could have been anywhere, but you have chosen to be here with us tonight, and we really, really appreciate it. Season 4 is coming. It'll start sometime in November. I'm not sure when, but it's absolutely coming. And the brand Meta Clean Presents has a few more surprises and things planned in the future. So we appreciate y'all being here in Golden Avenue, and that's a wrap.
Thank you, Robert.
Mm,
It was awesome.
man, thank you, man. Thank you. That was
Yeah.
amazing.
Cool.
Seriously. Loved it. Do you feel okay?
Bro. Hey, man, I was standing over there listening and then just got kicked all the way out of
All
the
right.
horizon. I had been
Listen,
trying to
we
get back in
appreciate
the
y'all
whole
coming
time.
out to Meta Talks Live. Season 3 is a wrap, man. Definitely want to thank a few people to make this season happen. First of
Hey,
all,
man.
Beneficial Games, Beneficial Camera for providing the live stream. You've been super, super important in spreading the message and what Meta Talks Live really wants to do throughout the community. There is no way we could have a reach or a presence without the support of your camera and live streaming in these events. Also want to thank out Super Media for doing the same thing. Again, no way we could have made this possible and share this with the masses without the assistance of a live stream. Everybody that was involved, participants, guests, thank you all for being a part of this journey. I feel like we're really just beginning, and we're not going to stop, man. We've got some more things coming. So look for season 4. We'll start doing some of that promotion in about 3 to 4 weeks from now, and we don't plan on stopping. So thank y'all for coming on the journey, and that's all. Ding dong.
Oh, sorry. I'm like standing in your way here.
Coming. Don't worry. It's coming. Don't worry. I don't have the clothes yet.